Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to peel back the layers on an American icon, a man you think you know, but whose life was a total masterclass in contradiction. I'm talking about Mark Twain. All right, let's dive right in. So let's kick things off with this monumental claim from another literary giant, Ernest Hemingway. And listen, this isn't just high praise, right? It's a declaration. It totally sets the stage for just how foundational Mark Twain, or, Samuel Clemens, his real name, truly was. And yeah, Hemingway wasn't the only one saying this. William Faulkner famously called Twain the father of American literature. So why? What's the big deal? Well, before Twain, a lot of American writers were kind of still trying to sound European. Twain, he was the one who insisted on using what he called the local stone and timber of real American life. The way people actually talked, their regional dialects, to build something totally new, something authentic.
But here's the thing, to really get the man and where that authentic voice came from, you've got to understand his lifeblood, the Mississippi River. I mean, the river wasn't just some backdrop in his books. For Twain, it was everything. It was the stage, and it was the script for his greatest works.
He grew up in Hannibal, Missouri, this bustling port town that he would later immortalize as St. Petersburg, the home of Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. This childhood gave him this incredible, first-hand knowledge of the region's people and how they spoke, which he just soaked up and channeled directly into his writing.
And get this, even his famous pen name came straight from his time as a steamboat pilot, Mark Twain. That was the call for safe passage, meaning 2 fathoms or 12 feet of water. It's just a perfect name for a life spent navigating the treacherous currents of both the river and society.
This contrast you see here is pretty much the heart of his masterpiece, Huckleberry Finn. On the river, you find freedom, harmony, brotherhood. It's this pure, natural world. But on the shore, you find the greed, the hypocrisy, and the violence of so-called civilized society.
Okay, so this is absolutely crucial to understand. While we remember the beloved storyteller, we often forget the sharp-tongued iconoclast. Twain was a fierce social critic who used his folksy humor not just to entertain, but as a weapon to attack the injustices he saw all around him.
And man, he was relentless. He basically waged a one-man crusade against political corruption, targeting everyone from the police on the streets of San Francisco to, as you can see here, the very halls of government. For Twain, no institution was too sacred to escape his satirical gaze. He was also a fierce anti-imperialist. At a time of American expansion, he became a vice president of the American Anti-Imperialist League. He condemned U.S. actions in the Philippines with this scorching rhetoric, viewing them as nothing more than pirate raids cloaked in pious hypocrisy.
This quote really gets to the heart of Twain's unique definition of patriotism. See, for him, it wasn't blind loyalty, not at all. True patriotism meant holding his country to its highest ideals and having the courage to call out its failures, to protect the flag from the very dishonor its leaders might bring upon it.
But his sharp mind wasn't only focused on social commentary. And this is where it gets really interesting. This man of letters, so rooted in the 19th century American landscape of rivers and small towns, also had a mind that was constantly looking toward the future.
In fact, Twain's innovative mind, which one source compared to a Swiss Army knife, and that's perfect, it wasn't just for stories. He was absolutely fascinated by technology and the promise of invention.
How fascinated? Enough to hold 3 U.S. patents for his own inventions. And these weren't just whimsical ideas, they were practical solutions born from a desire to solve everyday problems he encountered.
And here they are. First, an adjustable garment strap to get rid of suspenders. Second, a self-pasting scrapbook with pre-applied adhesive, which was actually his most commercially successful invention. And third, a history trivia game he created to help his daughters memorize historical dates. How cool is that?
This fascination with technology wasn't just the hobby either. It connected him with other great minds of his time. He struck up a friendship with the brilliant and eccentric inventor Nikola Tesla and was even photographed in Tesla's lab participating in his electrical experiments.
So how do we reconcile these different versions of the same man? The folksy humorist, the savage critic, the steamboat pilot, the futurist inventor, what gives?
The key insight is that we don't have to choose. He wasn't one of these things, he was all of them. These contradictions are the very essence of his genius. As one biographer put it, he wasn't just an American, he was the American, embodying all of the nation's own competing impulses. Twain himself described this internal battle perfectly. He wrote of a sound heart, a person's innate goodness and empathy, being in constant collision with a deformed conscience that's been trained by the prejudices and hypocrisies of a flawed society. This is the central conflict he explored so masterfully through the character of Huck Finn.
And that's what makes him so enduringly relevant. His work forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about society and about ourselves. Which leaves us with a final thought to consider. In our own age of hypocrisy and contradiction, is a voice like Mark Twain's, unflinching, satirical, and deeply human, the one we need to hear the most?